Welcome to the Real Eyes Podcast, brought to you by Dr. Jacob Wilson and Dr. Jacobi Cleaver, optometrists combining their love for eye care and movies. We pick a movie, watch it, and review it while incorporating elements of optometry as it relates to clinical cases we've encountered in practice, current trends, and recent developments across the optometric industry. Seen any good movies lately? We have.
So sit back, grab a bucket of popcorn and your glasses.
Everybody back. My name is Dr. Jacobi Cleaver. I'm joined here by my friend and colleague, Dr. Jacob Wilson, and we are the Real Eyes Podcast. So just a gist of what we do, we are just a couple of optometrists who enjoy eye care and enjoy going to the movies. So we will combine the two worlds, so to speak. So we'll review a movie. We'll find the eye elements, the optometry-related elements, ophthalmology-related elements, and we'll combine them into one fun episode that we hope that you can gain something from and do two things. Educate yourself about something, and maybe you want to go watch a movie or two. So tonight's feature is Superman, and we both are pretty excited to talk about this one. But before we get into it, Dr. Wilson, any interesting cases you want to review real quick before we jump into the movie?
This week, well, this week I got the opportunity, not really any specific case, but I got the opportunity to work with my students. I work with students a few times a month in California at one of SCCO's satellite campus, and they're just so fun to work with and be around. Their energy and hunger to learn is exciting, especially in this first quarter of fourth year. They're excited. They're excited to become doctors and learn and grow. So it's fun. We saw a couple things with the students. Saw some buried disc drusen, and the student had never seen that before. We had some unilateral optic nerve head edema. The other preceptor had that, and it was a healthy 41-year-old. So we weren't exactly sure what had caused it. We're thinking maybe intracranial hypertension, but I don't know. We'll have to see the notes. We sent her to the emergency room, so we'll find out.
Gotcha. Unilateral disc edema is a pretty funny finding, right? I mean, because
in a healthy person too, yeah.
I mean, it's just kind of a weird finding, but I think anytime you see that, man, it requires an emergent investigation. You can put in the appropriate referrals or whatever else, man, but if it is something pending that may be a threat to vision or a threat to life, then we have to move fairly quickly. And as much as the emergency room is the emergency room, so we know they have to go about their processes and things, as they see fit to see patients and everything. But it does help to send a note, about what you're thinking, or maybe kind of tag someone in on about what you think. This patient just had an eye exam. We noticed some swelling of the optic nerve head. Can we get the ball rolling? May need some imaging. Maybe
Definitely.
Lumbar puncture at some point. Sometimes in our business, it can't wait. It just cannot wait. Right? So,
no, really.
Yeah.
What we do is so in that particular area, it's kind of like South Central Los Angeles, or it's kind of north of South Central. It's right there by USC. So anyone who knows LA kind of knows what I'm talking about. But a lot of patients on Medicaid, it's called Medi-Cal, the state Medicaid there. And the only option they really have to get in to see an ophthalmologist a lot of times is the emergency room. Right. And so what we'll do is we'll write a letter and sign it. And we found that helps them get seen a little bit quicker. Luckily, the county hospital is partnered with USC's ophthalmology department. So they're in good hands when we send them over there. But
good.
Yeah, we always got to write a letter.
Yeah. Good. Yeah. Nothing out of the norm this week. I have been dealing with, and I think this is a good case to kind of relate to Superman when we get to the part. The certain part of the movie that I'm sure we both had a good chuckle about. But yeah, I've been dealing with a recurrent herpetic anterior uveitis. It's just kind of a I don't want to say a pain to deal with, but you really have to level set with these patients in the beginning. And I wouldn't even just say, if it's herpetic anterior uveitis, if it's a herpetic, dendritic keratitis or stromal keratitis, then you have to kind of level set in the beginning that it's possible that once we complete treatment, that this may come back, and we may need to do further treatment, or we may maybe investigate leaving you on an oral antiviral as prophylactics for a little while, just to kind of cut down on the recurrence and everything else, right? So, yeah, I've been kind of dealing with that, and I related to the part in the movie when we get there, man. But Jacob, man, kick us off.
Let's do it, yeah. Well, and I'll give any students out there or younger ODs watching, DM me and tell me what the prophylaxis dose for and tell me what the treatment dose is for HSV.
Yeah, it's a difference in
ZV, both of them.
Yeah, and at some point, man, we may have to ask them about Zoster and everything else. But we'll worry about that in a future episode. Right?
When we get there. Man, so Superman, I have to say, it might be the biggest surprise of the year for me so far. Because I was telling Jenny, it's about an hour drive. I think I've talked about this. It's about an hour drive from where I live. Let me close this window. All right, that's gonna bother everybody. It's about an hour drive from where I live to the nice theater. Right on my way down there, I was talking to Jenny on the phone. We're long distance, and I was like, "Yeah, I'm going to see Superman," and I'm not really that excited, but I know he's gonna have I was like, I know he's going to have laser and X-ray vision and all this stuff. I know there's just going to be good stuff in the podcast to talk about. So it really kind of felt like I'm going to work right now. I'm driving down. Just by chance, I got there. It was last Thursday night, so it was the premiere night, and they had 10 different showings that night. That's kind of how they do movies now. But they have in the Harkins movie theater there in Flagstaff, where I go, they have the Cine XL, which is their big theater, and it has the curtains that close and open, reclining seats, all of that. So I wasn't even planning on doing that, but that was the show that lined up with me best for the time. And if you got those tickets, what they gave you when you walked in was the special Clark Kent. Can you see it says Superman there?
Oh, yeah.
And so, and they're just,
I don't even recognize you. Who is this guy?
Yeah. They're Plano, just blue blocking glasses.
Really?
But it was fun. I put them on. I wore them the whole movie for no reason at all, and it was great. And just from the moment I got in, I put those on. I felt like I was kind of in the Superman spirit. And I'll tell you why it wasn't that exciting for Superman. I think excited for it, and I think you and I kind of talked about it. One, DC, except for a handful of movies over the last 10 to 15 years, has just been dropping duds. Yeah. The only, and that's my opinion, don't come for me, but the only good ones I really think are Shazam. I don't know if you remember that one.
Okay, Wonder Woman. That was decent. Yeah.
Yeah. Wonder Woman and Man of Steel. Those are all ones that I think are decent, but also I don't think they're great. I don't think they'd hold a candle to even the most middle of the road Marvel movie, to be honest.
I agree with you 100%. I mean, I want to say the last movie I've seen was Batman versus Superman. And it just ran too long. It was, of course you want to go see it and you want to enjoy it or whatever else, man. But I think maybe a little bit for me is that it was just superhero fatigue. Now I'm not comparing DC and Marvel. We're definitely not doing that here. But you're coming off of the Marvel run and Avengers and that kind of stuff, and it's just a lot. It's just superhero fatigue. But with this one, now if I was just going based off of DC Comics, Batman with Christian Bale was done.
Yeah.
Incredible. But and we got the 3 movies with him, Heath Ledger, those kind of things. Now, that was done extremely well. But for whatever reason, it just seems like Superman in recent years just kind of came up pretty short. But I'm like you. I didn't go into it expecting a whole bunch. I know we spoke about, and we don't typically talk about movies before we watch them, but we did mention that James Gunn was the director for this film.
Right. And who's that?
And yeah, so he done a couple of he did the Guardians of Galaxy, I can't remember. I'm mixing my words up, but he also did one of the Infinity Wars, if I'm not mistaken. And he's been around for a while. He's done a couple of good movies that I've seen. Blacko and Rico was pretty good. Yeah, but the budget for this movie was like $225 million.
Mm-hmm.
And and I know we discussed the budget just for the sake of discussing it. But I also looked up the numbers today, over the weekend, and we both did watch it over opening weekend. Over the weekend, US, it made over $125 million. And I think globally, it was like at 205 or 215 or something like that. So it's well on its way, man. The critics have been pretty nice about it. They most of the folks enjoyed it. And, I enjoyed it too, man. But let's not keep the audience waiting. Let's get into it.
First thing that happens is we get we get like a timeline event. Timeline of events that have happened. So it's not like other Superman movies where we go through the whole him coming to Earth, growing up in Kansas. We start right in the middle of he's already Superman. Everyone already knows about it, and he's already Earth's protector. And basically, it starts out saying he's lost his first battle, right? And you see Superman just come flying across the screen. He crashes into the snow, and he's just really hurt pretty bad. Now, I'll tell you right here, and it's funny because one of the reasons I've never loved Superman is because I felt he's a little too overpowered. And it's not as much fun to me. It's like, well, who's going to beat Superman, unless they have kryptonite, or I think what helped Batman out in Batman versus Superman is they had their mother's same name. The mom's name was Martha, and that made Superman stop. I don't know if you remember that part. It was such a bad movie, but yeah. So, anyways, he's hurt. This is the first time, besides kryptonite or certain really big time moments in other movies where you see Superman hurt, and that's how the movie's starting. He's hurt, in the snow, helpless, can't even get up, and so I'm like, okay, this is different already from Superman. And I didn't watch anything about this movie beforehand, and then you see something coming towards him in the distance, and snow just going everywhere, and you can tell it's just something moving really fast towards him.
Right.
And I should say he whistled like he was calling something. And Crypto, his pet dog, shows up, which that was so fun. That might have been one of my favorite parts of the movie.
Show. I mean,
yeah. And it was funny. Jenny did not have any interest in watching this movie, and I told her there's a dog in it, and so I think she might go watch it now, just for that simple fact. So I think this movie might have some staying power. I think it might. Yeah. But yeah, so that happens. He, and then him and Crypto go to his lair, and this is the first time I've seen the lair in Superman in a while. Like maybe since the Christopher Reeves ones, because the Man of Steel, he never goes to. I don't
remember him ever going back to what they call it, Crystal Castle.
It's called something. And if you've ever been to Six Flags, the Superman ride starts from his little ice layer thing. So, but I never, knew that much about it. But as you go there, there's all these robots. The robots are pretty fun. They're super robots. We don't, it's interesting. We don't really get any backstory on anything.
Right.
We just go to his house. The robots are there. They help nurse him back to health. They play a video of his parents from his home planet, and his parents, and it's this message that they left with him. It's basically telling him, come and protect the world and all of this, and be a good person and all that. And it inspires him. And when he's healing, it gives him comfort, and the robots know that. So basically, with some sunlight and the help of the robots, he's back to 83% power in no time. He ties up Crypto, if I remember right, because Crypto's just going crazy and destroying things.
Yeah, Crypto's nuts, yeah.
Crypto's a puppy, right? But he has Superman strength. And so when he jumps or wants to play, he just destroys rooms. And But anyways, he gets back to full power, and he jumps back into the battle. And it looks like it's a battle in Metropolis.
Right.
he jumps back into the battle that he had lost to go fight this other metahuman, is what they call the superheroes in this universe. Fight this other metahuman. And I was so confused, and luckily we got answers later, but this metahuman is just kicking Superman's butt for most of the movie.
He's taking as my folks would say, man, he's taking Superman to task, man. I mean, he's just kicking this.
Yeah, no, he is. And what we find out is Lex Luthor, who's played by, is it Alexander Holt? Oh, no, I can't remember his first name, but Holt is his last name. He was in Nosferatu and a couple other big things. But Lex Luthor was great in this movie.
Yes, absolutely.
Is the point of me saying that. He's great, and he is not controlling, but telling this metahuman all the moves that Superman's going to do. So he spent years studying Superman. Mm-hmm. So that's another thing. We're thrown right into the middle of the Lex Luthor Superman beef. We don't get any backstory on how that happened, which is probably a good thing because we've already had so many Superman movies,
Right.
We probably didn't need need all the backstory. But so that's kind of how he's staying ahead of Superman. He basically has analyzed Superman's moves. He knows what he's going to do, and he tells the metahuman how to stop it. So
yeah, he's pretty much he's countering Superman before he can even make the move. So he's Lex Luthor. He's like the head. Well, not the head. He's definitely the villain, but he's in a room full of engineers, and he's saying he's almost yelling out like bingo numbers, like B64 or A 12 or whatever else, right? And that's telling them how to strike Superman and counter him. And like I said, Superman is just it's like my dad would say, man, it's a butt whipping, and Superman was supplying the butt, man.
yeah, I like that. It's supplying the butt. Yeah, so I mean, and again, he gets whooped, and so he loses at the end of it. He gets like thrown down into the cement, and he's all stuck down there. And what we find out, what this metahuman is purporting to be, is this metahuman who's from the country of Baravia. And Baravia, I won't speculate on what country it's supposed to be, but Baravia is in this universe. It's an ally of the United States, but it's also not. They're not the greatest country in the world, and they are trying to invade this other country. And Superman, what we find out, he stopped them from doing this the week before, a few days before, maybe it was 3 weeks before or something. He stopped that. And so Baravia is saying they're so mad about this, they're going to send their metahuman after Superman. That's why this whole fight started. Mm-hmm. Then, Superman gets beat. And the world's kind of like, should Superman be getting involved in these geopolitical, events? Like, should he be stepping in here? And Superman, he doesn't really have an agenda. He just doesn't want people to get hurt. That's all he is. He believes his parents sent him here to protect the people of Earth, and he doesn't want anybody to get hurt, whether it's the people from that country of Baravia or the country they're attacking or the U.S. or whatever it is. He doesn't seem to care about borders or political allegiances or anything like that. And that's obviously ruffling some feathers in the higher-ups. And Lex Luthor is a billionaire who seems to be aligned with some political figures as well. But while that's happening, while Superman's in this fight, it turns out that it's kind of just a distraction that Lex Luthor has put on, because he sent another metahuman, and help me with her name. Do you remember her name?
Oh man,
she can like turn things with her hands.
Yeah, I don't even recall them saying her name. I want to say I heard like Ange or something like that. But I
the engineer. The engineer. That's all they call her.
That's correct.
They don't say her name. They just call her the engineer. And she's basically a bioengineered human who can create anything she wants out of these. Like, it reminded me of like midichlorians from Star Wars, but I don't know what they are. Just something that's infused into her bloodstream. So anyways, with her help, they find Superman's lair while he's away, right? And so they go to the lair and they get in. We don't know how they get into this lair because supposedly it's linked to Superman's DNA, but they get in and they just trash the lair. They trash all the robots, which is pretty sad, and they steal the video of Superman's parents.
Correct.
What they find is the video of Superman's parents was actually damaged in transit, and the engineer is able to repair it and get the rest of the video, which becomes pretty important So that's where we're at up to this point. And did I miss anything there up to this point?
That's totally it, man. And then, Lex Luger is just so far ahead of the game, right? And
Right.
I appreciate them starting the movie out like this, because one of my knock with superhero movies is that I think sometimes like they'll spend a lot of time on one character and then not enough time on another character. So then you just at the end there's no real character development. Now, if you have some kind of background in watching the old school cartoons or reading the comic books or something, then you can kind of piece it together. But I think even if you've never seen a single Superman in your life, this is a good one to start it. Because because you don't have to go back and you just know that Lex Luger's a bad guy, right? When you come out the gate, he's a bad guy, right? And he obviously has the means to do a lot of things, and then they get to this point to where, and they infuse some of today's elements. So now they go on this. No, I don't want to jump too far. So
you know what? Go ahead.
Right, because they're at the layer now, and then they release an alien into the center of Metropolis, right?
And that was I saw people online calling it a kaiju, which is what they call the monsters, like Japanese monsters. I don't know if that's really what it was meant to be, but basically they release it as this little lizard reptile looking thing, and then it grows to be the size of buildings, and it's destroying the city, right? So Superman's fighting it, but not only is Superman fighting it, I thought this was such a cool aspect of Superman in this movie. He's making sure no one, including squirrels, get hurt by this thing. Right. So he's fighting it, and then he'll see someone's going to get hurt, and he flies over, grabs them, sets the lady down, sets the squirrel down in a tree or something, goes back and fights it. And then he's saying okay, we need to study this thing. So he's not trying to kill it. He's trying to rehome it like it's a stray dog or something. Right. He's trying to get it somewhere so they can study it and find out where the monster came from. But then the Justice Gang, which is just, they're working on the name still, but the three of them show up, which is Green Lantern, Mr. Terrific, and Hawkgirl.
Yep. They
show up and they help Superman fight this kaiju monster. And they're pretty cool. I saw people saying this is their favorite iteration of Green Lantern they've seen on screen.
Oh, man, don't even get me started on the Green Lanterns that came out.
Okay.
yeah, easily. This was the best one, easily.
Yeah, he was pretty cool, and they have no qualms about killing this thing. They just torch it. They basically destroy it. They blow it up from the inside out and kill it, and then Superman makes sure it doesn't drop on or kill anyone, and they were not worried about that. They're just, you can tell they're heroes, but they're not heroes like Superman.
Right. So while they're fighting the this alien monster thingy, Hawkgirl is jabbing at his eye with whatever tool that she has, right? So I got a real good chuckle. out of that. I'm like, man, this looks just like what you would do if you was checking intraocular pressure in the clinic, right?
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, so now this kind of relates to the case I mentioned at the start of my episode. So my patient is dealing with recurrent herpetic anterior uveitis, and she unfortunately she's developed decreased corneal sensitivity. So I have to I have to challenge the optometrists and those and our ophthalmology colleagues and the students, whoever's listening out there. Like, how often do you check corneal sensitivity in the clinic? Like, do you need to have a reason to check it, or do you just go about checking it just as part of your normal routine? Now, I would say I don't check it as part of my normal routine. It's kind of torturous, to be honest with you. But after I completed the treatment with her the first time around, when I brought her back for the follow up. No eye drops in the eyes. I need to check the cornea sensation, and you can just use whatever's in the clinic. You don't need any fancy equipment. I usually use some unwaxed dental floss, and you need to test both eyes. So the patient has to know which eye is abnormal or what normal should feel like. So typically, I would start with the eye that I'm not concerned about. The minute you touch that the front surface of the eye, the patient will almost jerk back in the seat and they'll blink as well. So that's intact corneal sensitivity.
That's what's supposed to happen.
Right. if that's supposed to happen, and intact corneal sensitivity and intact bleak reflex. So I won't even go back into school and remember how many nerve endings in the front of the cornea or whatever else. But it's one of the most sensitive organs in the body, right? So
yeah, I don't know that. Comment down below if you know that. But
I don't know how many nerve endings are in there, but it's one of the most sensitive organs in the body. So then you test the other cornea, and then you notice that you can just kind of just poke and poke and poke. The patient not blinking, not reacting like they should. So with that, I did start her on a round of Oxervate, which is
okay.
Yeah, which is Oxervate, and she did pretty well with it. We actually did 2 rounds of it. Like I said, she did have recurrent episodes of it, so we did do 2 rounds of it, and she did pretty good with it. I think, and I don't want to go too much off on a tangent here, but for anyone who's hesitant about prescribing that, I would urge you to connect with whoever your Dompay rep is in the area. Don't let costs keep you away from prescribing that. They're more so, and I'm not advertising for them at all. I've used it a handful of times. They will get it to the patient if you determine that they need it. Let's just put it that way. Cost aside and those kind of things.
That's what I was going to ask is how you got it paid for.
Okay.
What's the name of the company that does that?
Dompay. They have a website and everything, man. Dompay Connect. Okay. You just I typically fill out the form while the patient's in the exam room because they have to sign it or whatever else. But it's pretty straightforward. Like they just go based off of your examination. Is it neurotrophic keratitis versus which stages, or is it just cornea decreased sensitivity? Check the box. If they have any insurance information, just fill it out, and all you have to do is fax it over. From there, the team takes over everything. They take over everything. They'll run the insurance. They'll contact the patient. They'll discuss co-pays, which is usually fairly reasonable, and then it's this whole orchestrated thing, man. I've never been more impressed with anything in my life because it just takes it's no work that you have to do outside of filling out the initial form, right? So they contact the patient, and they have a pharmacy contact them, and then they go over how they should use it. They send them videos, literature, and everything else on how to use the medication, and they say, hey, guess what, Jacob, we're gonna bring this medication by at your house at 2 p.m. We need you to be there to sign for it, and you stay on it for 8 weeks. You'll get fresh shipments of medications throughout the time. So you'll get the fresh, like every week, every 2 weeks, or whatever else. It's so off. It's so hands off, Jacob. It's literally. I've had no issues getting that prescribed to the folks that needed to get it prescribed to.
That's great. Let's get that message out there because it is intimidating seeing that price tag on there, and but I haven't used it yet. I would love to. Yeah, we should make sure every optometrist knows about that because, it's not something you check every day, maybe. But I did check it on Saturday. I had a neurotrophic keratitis on Saturday. I showed the student how to do that. I use a cotton swab when I do it if I don't have anything else around. Wow, that's great, and that will help restore the nerve endings. And have you actually seen the patients have their corneal sensitivity restored? Decent amount?
Yeah.
Okay.
In this recent patient, I haven't seen it go back to 100%, but it's pretty close. But also, there's no way for me to really quantify because I'm just using the dental floss. I don't have the Cochet Bonnet, a measuring tool or whatever else. But she's doing fairly well, right? So I've had patients before that bounce back pretty good, near to 100%. But that's and I've also had other patients in the past who developed moderate NK or neurotrophic keratitis, and then they go through the whole eyelid torusopathy, and it's just a lot. So there's something we can do before we get super invasive with our ophthalmology colleagues. So I would urge anyone, if you think that you have a patient that may benefit from it, man, reach out to your Dompay rep. They're all over the place. If you run into them in meetings, they're very helpful. And they'll take care of you, man. And like I said, they don't have me on the payroll or anything. I'm just surprised by the medication, and it works, man. I've had good success with it. Let's put it that way.
Okay, good. That's great. That's good to know. And you know what? That is That's such a good observation from the movie. Them poking the eye like that. I mean, I thought about things poking the eye, but I didn't take it to anything that we do as far as tonometry or corneal sensitivity. I was just thinking about penetrating injuries and stuff. So that's a great educational pickup there, Dr. Cleaver. Thank you.
Yeah, you know, and the Oxervate is the only drop of its kind on the market. I want to say it gained FDA approval. I don't want to mix up my dates. It hasn't been very long. It's either 2018 or 2020.
Pretty sure it's 2018.
2018. And you know, if that gives you, it gives you a little leverage, another tool in your belt. If you're eye doctor out there and you're concerned about, maybe developing perforation or something, then give it a shot. I mean, well, we want to get to them before they, the cornea starts to perforate. But give it a shot, man. The turnaround, I think, from the time it takes to get the information in and get the medication to the patient may take about, on average, about a week and a half. So, in that time, you can do, other measures to kind of keep the cornea moist or protected, or whether it's bandaged contact lens or whatever else. Yeah, so you definitely have some options there, for sure.
Okay, cool. All right. Well, should we keep going?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, so, then the movie we kind of get to the plot of the movie pretty quickly here. So now we've been introduced to most everyone by this point. And we find out that the rest of this video that was damaged from Superman's parents, and not only did it say, he only got the first half, which says to protect Earth and do all of this. Now that they fixed the second half, it turns out it says, rule over the world, take as many wives as you can, like basically replace the human race and turn the ones that remain into slaves, basically. And Superman never saw this. So he knows nothing about that. But so as he's leaving the area where they've just killed the kaiju and everyone's cheering for him, they start playing on the news that the rest of the video. And so then everyone's like mad and throwing stuff at him. And you can only imagine how he's feeling at that point too, because he just feels like his parents aren't who they thought they were. Right. Which, exactly. That's probably a realization a lot of people have to come to in life is your parents are imperfect, right? Probably not to that extent where they want you to, take a bunch of wives and take over a planet. But,
but it also goes to the point how quick news can travel, right? Especially in the social media, right? So, obviously he's in Metropolis and it comes up on a big billboard, but it was almost news immediately. Lex Luthor is already doing an interview about it. Like,
he's like in a studio doing an interview.
Which is wild, right? And so now everything's spread. Now, of course, Superman second guessing himself. Maybe like you said, maybe my parents aren't who I thought they were, and he just kind of, I don't want to say he goes into his tailspin, but he's definitely in his feelings about it, and rightfully so.
He's crashing out a little bit, and he, he goes home. Oh, and have we met Lois Lane already, or is this when he goes home to Lois Lane?
Well, no, she made an appearance earlier because when they was all at work or whatever else. But this is when we figure out that they are an item or a couple, so to speak.
Right. Yeah, and so he goes home. He does like an interview with Lois, but. What's really happening now is the public opinion towards Superman is turning pretty quickly because of this. And, he doesn't do great in the interview he does with Lois, and they get in a fight and kind of basically take a break. I won't say they break up, but they kind of she's like, I don't know if this is going to work type of thing. And he's really just going through it. Right. And then he basically ends up deciding to turn himself in. All right. So the DOJ has released a warrant for Superman's arrest because of this video, and they believe he's going to be a threat and all this. So he turns himself in. What happens when he turns?
But before you do that, he goes back to Crystal Castle, to his home. He discovers everything is broken and beat up, right? And then he's starting to put two and two together, and he's upset because lo and behold, Crypto is gone. He doesn't know where crypto is. He doesn't know if Lex has him or he ran away or what. So at this point, Superman, and this lets you know that Superman and Lex, they have a, I don't want to say a relationship, but they know each other, right? So he pops into Lex's office. He's upset. Lex's girlfriend is recording this thing the whole time. Lex is just calm, cool, and collective. And this is another viral moment. So this is another thing that gets posted onto social media, and then the public perception of Superman it decreases even further at this point, right?
Because it makes him look violent and dangerous.
Right, so Lex is just playing Superman all the way through. Up until this point in the movie, Lex is getting the upper hand straight up.
No, Lex has been planning and preparing this for years. Lex is like a top tier hater, man. He just, that's his whole motivation in this movie, is he just hates how much attention Superman gets.
Yeah,
There's
pretty
really no other motivation. And so then what happens when Superman turns him in? I mean, it turns out that and who knows what strings Lex pulled to get this to happen, but it turns out they say, we know we can't contain you, so we are going to outsource your captivity or incarceration to a third party. And that third party is just Lex. Lex Luthor has created a portal, like this interdimensional portal inside of the Earth. I think it's in the Earth. That's my understanding. It's a portal, and there's this metahuman who can turn into any substance, including kryptonite. And so Lex basically bribes. It's not bribe. What's the word I'm looking for?
I mean, the word like blackmail doesn't even apply here.
Blackmail,
he kid, and I think they called him Element Man. So he kidnapped Element Man and his baby. Like the baby's like 2 weeks old or something. It's a baby, right?
Like a little baby, and has a man holding Element Man's baby, and says, "We will kill this baby if you don't turn into kryptonite and hold Superman hostage." So, like, Element Man is not a bad guy. He's just trying to protect his baby. And so he turns into kryptonite in this little cell underneath in this portal. And Superman, obviously, that's his one weakness, is kryptonite. And Superman can't get up or move. He's slowly losing all his power and all of this. So like Superman's trapped down there. And we learn that Lex has been putting a lot of people in prison in this little portal place. Everything from ex-girlfriends that he doesn't get along with, political rivals and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
And so basically, as time goes on, though, Lex is trying to get some information out of Superman. And I don't remember exactly what the information was, but what he does is he brings this man that Superman really doesn't know that well. He just bought a falafel from him, but Superman loves people and wants to protect everyone so much that this man is extremely important to him. And Lex basically threatens to kill this man if Superman doesn't give him the information he needed. And what was the information he needed? Now,
he just asked Superman, like, who do you work with? Who do you work for? And that's it. And Superman says, I don't work for anybody. Lex doesn't like that, and he kills his buddy. I was
pretty shocked that he killed him.
Yeah, it was totally unexpected. Yeah. No way they're gonna kill him. Yeah, they definitely got about it.
This movie had they did a good job of keeping it PG-13, but having some pretty dark moments.
Oh, yeah. Right.
And they also did a pretty good job of keeping it lighthearted, but having some pretty dark moments.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if this was the other Superman movie, we probably would have actually seen the guy get killed and all of that. But it was kind of off screen. You don't totally see it. But anyways, when this happens, Lex says, I'm going to go find someone else, and I'll just kill them if you don't tell me what I want to know. And Element Man, that's Element Man's breaking point. He says, you know what, like, this man's evil. I can't be working for him. What can I do? And so he stops doing the kryptonite, but now Superman is so weak he can't do anything. He can't break out of the cell, can't do any of that.
Right.
And so this was a pretty cool scene. It turns out that Element Man can make a sun or something like a sun. Right. He can combine certain elements and make something bright enough to basically be a yellow sun, right. Which is what gives Superman not only his health, but his powers, right? Superman has his powers because he's in a universe with a yellow sun. And when he's in a universe with a red, or a solar system with a red sun, he's just a normal person, doesn't have those powers. But a yellow sun gives him these powers. Mm-hmm. So he gets these powers. But at this point, I want to stop for another optometry moment, and we could talk about it later too. But at this point, I thought about a certain condition you could get, because it gets so bright, like basically the sun in this little cell, like full brightness of the sun in this little cell. Have you ever seen a solar retinopathy before?
Once.
Uh-huh.
Once. It was, I can't remember where it was from exactly, but it was somewhere in Africa. This guy must have been, it must have been in his mid-30s. He was here for an eye exam, totally asymptomatic, but just couldn't get him better than 2030, 2025 with a lot of effort. Get a look back there, and it's just textbook bilateral solar retinopathy, both eyes, maculopathy in both eyes, right? And he said, and then, you get the question of him about it, like, oh yeah, when I was younger and over there, I got into some trouble, and one of the punishments that I had to endure, that I had to stare at the sun. And
oh wow,
yeah, no kidding. I made the same face that you made. Like, man, that could be pretty detrimental. Like, now,
yeah,
he's functioning pretty well, but could you imagine, like, if best corrected vision was anything less than 2400 or the big E on the chart or something, like, you just totally rearrange the visual potential for one, and then the patient's working potential, the quality of life, everything just from that. I don't remember what he did in order for that to be his punishment, and not that I can speak on the punishment or how people do things in different places of the world, man. But I was pretty shocked. I was pretty shocked about that. It's just wild. But luckily, like I said, he was still 2030, 2025 with some effort. But unfortunately, I only seen him the one time. I hadn't seen him since.
Gotcha. Okay. Wow. Because usually if it's people who have been on some type of hallucinogenic drug, they'll stare at the sun, or there's some like religious or spiritual rituals where people will stare at the sun. And
every now and then we catch a few folks that are watching the solar eclipse or whatever else,
yep.
and they're not wearing the protective glasses, and it catches up with them.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, I was so I've never seen a solar retinopathy, but I have seen 2 cases of photic retinopathy, which solar retinopathy is a type of photic retinopathy, which is damage to the retina from a bright light source. And the 2 that I've seen, I actually did it as one of my case reports in residency. But one of the 2 that I've seen, one was from a laser pointer, a 14-year-old girl.
Oh, really?
She just wanted to see what would happen if she held a red laser pointer right here for about 30 seconds. At least that's what she told me, for about 30 seconds. And she was 20/40 and couldn't get any better than that. We ran the OCT, and there's a big chunk of her inner and outer retina, photoreceptor layer, everything just gone. And gone forever, too, at 14, just because she wanted to see what happened with that laser pointer.
Yeah.
So I thought about that with the because later in the movies there's a part where Superman's lasers hit someone's eyes and things like that. So thought about that. And then my other one was actually a welding situation where a girl, her boyfriend was welding, and she looked over at him welding without any protection. And usually with welding, we see a keratopathy.
Right.
It's more of a flash burn, right? But that's not what she had. She was 20/60, and she had just diffuse photoreceptor damage and modeling.
Really?
And it was unilateral because she had looked just out of the corner of her eye. So it got just the one eye. So, and that one was tough. She was only 21, and she asked me if it was going to get better. And I said, it just depends, because this one wasn't as deep a loss as the laser pointer, but it was pretty diffuse. And she started, she was pretty upset and started crying. And because she's only 21, her vision might have been impacted forever. And so definitely eye protection. If you're welding, lasers, anything that might be, dangerous to your eyes. And that's not the only thing that can cause photic retinopathy. When I did this case report, I learned that even overexposure to surgical lights during like ophthalmological procedures has been known to cause it. And there was one case study, just one, of someone standing up in a movie theater and looking back at the projector.
No way, really?
And that came from an arc lamp projector. Yeah, they got photic retinopathy from that. So, maybe eye protection at the movies, or don't look back at the projector at the very
Yeah, you should be staring at the screen anyway. But that's pretty awful, man. Considering how much. How many like we don't even think about how much vision impacts us as far as like working certain jobs or being in certain industries or whatever else. If your one patient, the 21-year-old, if she wants to go to the fly plane, she won't be able to do that. She may have a hard time getting serving in any branch of the military. Of that,
right.
Getting a CDL, she'll be able to get her regular license, I'm sure, her regular driver's license, but like CDL driver's license or anything, like you just narrowed your potential for things you could do by so much, man, so much.
Yeah, and it's just like that. I mean, and the little girl that used the laser, you think, well, yeah, that's gonna happen if you hold it like that. But this girl, her boyfriend was welding, and she wasn't even that close, and this happened to her. So. And I always thought it was UV light that was the issue, but it's not. It's just the intensity of the light, because welding is actually just electricity, which I didn't know until I studied this. It's very intense electricity coming together. But yeah, it can happen. So just when we tell you to use your eye protection, sunglasses, things like that, there's a reason. We've seen things. We don't want it to happen to you.
We don't want to see them, and we definitely don't want to be the bearers of bad news either, man. I don't want to tell anyone that things aren't going to get any better, but sometimes it comes with the job, unfortunately.
Yeah. I want to just tell you your eyes look great and give you a pair of glasses, or not. Maybe you don't need them. So, but anyways, I thought that was a good stepping off point there for optometry stuff. It kind of comes up later too with his laser vision, but I thought right there. But anyways, the sun gives Superman his powers back. So he's able to break through the glass of the cage holding him, and he's able to do it so fast that he gets over to the baby before the person holding the baby hostage can hurt the baby. So he saves the baby, and then they get out of there. It's a pretty exciting scene as they're escaping the portal, because the other thing that's happened is Lois Lane has teamed up with Mr. Terrific, and they have located the entry to this portal. Right. There's a pretty awesome fight scene with Mr. Terrific.
Oh, that was nice. That was really nice.
Yeah. And turns out Mr. Terrific is just the smartest man in the world. He doesn't have any superpowers or anything. He's just that smart. And so he has all these robots and machines and force fields and all this stuff. Just no one can touch him. So he takes out like dozens of these guards to the portal, all while protecting Lois Lane, and neither of them get a scratch. And then they get into the portal, and basically they're waiting at the door to the portal. They don't want to go into this, this tear in the space-time continuum, whatever it is. They don't want to go all the way in there, but they're basically there. And while they're waiting at the door, Superman, the baby, and Element Man are trying to escape while they're being chased by, all of Lex's goons and things like that. And Element Man cannot, for some reason, when he's flying, he cannot hold his baby. It looked like his hands were working, but I guess they weren't.
It's something like if he was changing, or if he was in the process of changing and he couldn't hold the baby or something like that. Yeah, but which would make sense, I guess, because
because I guess the baby would drop through. Either way, it gives Superman a pretty cool opportunity to hold the baby with one hand while like fighting all these people, keeping them out of a black hole in this river of just atomic mass and waste. And it's a pretty cool scene. Right. And they end up making it out of there. They're okay. Superman's pretty drained because of the kryptonite once they make it out of there. And so they know he needs to rest for a day or two before they can go back and face Lex. So they go back, him and Lois go to and does Mr. Terrific come with them? I think he does. They go to Kansas, back to Superman's parents. And Superman's parents are pretty cool, man. I feel like in most movies, Superman's parents have been a little bit younger, even. But in these movies, they're kind of just these old, sweet grandparent-like people.
Right.
And his dad is like the sweetest old man, and they're just so proud of him. And they just wait and they let Superman get nursed back to health. While that's happening, though, it takes about a day or two. While that's happening, though, Baravia has now started to invade this other country again.
Right.
And so Superman sees this is happening on the news, and he's like, I can't let this happen. People are going to die. And people are telling him to stop, don't get involved in this. It's, politics, all this. Well, he said, no, people are going to die. That's all that matters to him, And he has a long talk with his dad, and his dad, because he's still upset that, his parents sent him here to conquer the earth, not to protect it. And his dad says, I think how you feel about that message says a lot more about you than what the message actually says about you. And so it's Superman realizes, no, I'm here to protect the people of Earth, and that's what I'm going to do. So, whatever this video from my parents that I've never met says, right? So he gets ready to go, and he wants to stay.
Yeah, hang on, because I wrote this down. So, the quote that Superman dad says, his adoptive dad said, your choices and your actions make you who you are. Right, so that was enough to kind of get him. Yeah, I made sure to write that one down. But we have to back up just a little bit because, Lois, I want to make sure I say this right, because as everyone escapes this portal, Lex is super upset about it. He's upset to the point to where he is this young lady that's hanging out with him. We presume that they're dating. Her name is Eve. So we back up just a little bit. Lois doesn't know where Superman is, but one of her coworkers used to date Eve, right? Or Eve has a certain infatuation with him. I can't remember his name. I think it was Jimmy, if I'm not mistaken.
Jimmy Olsen.
So that's how they found out that Superman is in this pocket universe. That's what they keep calling it, right? So we have to bring that back up. So by the time after they escape, Lex is upset, calls Eve an idiot, tells her to get out. At this point, Eve goes to the bathroom and she's texting Jimmy and say, I got enough stuff on Lex that you can use to write up, and you can do whatever you need to do with it. She's being overheard by one of Lex's goons, and they found her in the bathroom, pull her out of there. But just as they are pulling her out of there, she sends all this information and stuff to Jimmy, who in turn tells Lois, who is at the house with Superman at his adopted parents' house. So that was a pretty pivotal moment there. Yeah, for sure. Yeah,
and I almost skipped over that. And that she ends up being one of the most important characters, because that's how we take down Lex in this movie.
Yep.
Is her. And what's cool about it is the way she sends all this information to Jimmy. And shout out to Jimmy. Jimmy has like insane pull game. Like he is like, all these beautiful girls are just after him. He's kind of just like
I think these days, Jimmy has a lot of riz. He has a lot of
riz. There you go. Yeah. He's got a lot of riz. So, and he's not even trying. You could tell he's like all stressed out that he's got to text this girl because he doesn't want to, because she's all crazy about him. And you think it's gonna be some like crazy girl, and it's like this beautiful girlfriend of Lex Luthor. And but shout out to her too, because she's the whole movie. You think she's just this kind of silly blonde that's taking selfies all the time.
That's it. You think she's an airhead, man? Yeah, for sure.
But she knows what she's doing. She knows that Lex Luthor has thrown all his ex-girlfriends in jail. So she knows if she's ever going to get out of this, she needs an escape plan. And so when she's taking these selfies, she's taking pictures of these like master plans and coordinates and all these things that Lex has been doing behind him. So she sends all these selfies to Jimmy. And then even when Lex finds it, he's really mad, but he's not mad because of all the information. He's mad because he thinks she's, sending these special selfies to this other guy. Right. And stuff. So it's really like a really intelligent, cool play by this girl. And I don't know what Jimmy had against her. I mean, she seemed cool enough to me, but he just really didn't want to be with her. I guess he was stressed out about that.
Deal with her, man. I don't know.
He was stressed out about that. But yeah, so that's how we know where Superman is, how we know where all these plans are, and this is what helps us turn the tide against Lex Luthor, the public opinion tide back against Lex Luthor. So, but what Lex is doing now to distract Superman, because Lex, we find out, has a vested interest in this country, Baravia, and invading the smaller country, because he's going to get half of the country. Right. And so that's what comes out, and that's why everyone's, the public opinion kind of turns towards him. But Superman wants to stop this, but Lex says, no, I have a plan to distract Superman. And he basically opens a rip in the space-time continuum, which is insane. And it is threatening to destroy the entire world. So Superman has to go handle that. And so I was pretty tense in this moment. I was like, what's going to happen right now? Because the tanks were already starting to roll in on these people in the other. And do you remember the name of the other country? It starts with a J.
I wrote it down. I don't want to mispronounce it. It's like R or something like that. I don't want to butcher it.
Yeah, but they might have a couple guns in there, but it's mostly just this ragtag group of civilians standing there waiting for these tanks and all these massive weapons and trained soldiers to come, plowing into their country. So you're like, there's no hope here. Either Superman is going to go save them and the whole world gets destroyed, or he's going to go stop the space-time continuum and these people are going to die. And so it's like, what is Superman going to do? I felt Superman's conflict here. I thought it was great writing. And what ends up happening, Superman goes to stop the space-time continuum, and why am I wanting to say the gang lantern? The Justice Gang. The Justice Gang, yeah. The Justice Gang shows up, and they save it. They save the civilians from that Baravian army. And it's a pretty cool fight. Green Lantern comes in. He's flipping everyone off with his big green hands and stuff. And Hawk Girl. I keep saying it, and people are thinking I'm saying Hot Girl. I'm saying Hawk Girl. The young woman that plays her is very pretty, but that's not what I'm saying. It's Hawk Girl. And she kills the leader of this Baravian country. It's a pretty cool scene where she's carrying him, and he's like, "You won't drop me. You're delicate, just like Superman." And she's like, "I'm not Superman," and she just drops him. and it's pretty cool. And then Mr. Terrific and Element Man show up, and they defend this country, and it's great. We find out Superman has to fight the engineer and the other metahuman who we don't know who it is, but he's in a suit the whole time. They have this plan where the engineer is going to make all of her extra DNA and stuff or whatever it is go into his mouth and cover up his lungs. It's this plan that Lex has come up with that will actually work to kill Superman. And so he's fighting the engineer and the metahuman, and this is happening. But what ends up happening is as it's filling up his lungs, this black material is filling up his lungs, he takes the metahuman, he takes the engineer, and he flies them up towards space, which is such a cool scene. It's something we've seen in other Superman movies, or at least iterations of that.
Right.
But you see Superman's real strength, because we know the engineer is very strong. We know the metahuman is at least as strong as Superman.
Right.
But that is not stopping it. And we know that he's having trouble breathing, but that does not stop him from flying all the way to space and then turning around and dropping like a meteor straight back down to Earth.
But also
doing that.
While the DNA is getting inside of Superman's lungs to suffocate him, it's also penetrating. It's another optometry moment. It's also penetrating his eyes and the optic nerve. It was made for a cool scene. So they're going to try to suffocate him and blind him at the same time.
So he can't use his X-ray vision.
Yeah,
that's what exactly. They said, right? Yeah, or laser vision.
And I have to segue just a little bit because Dr. Johnson said, do you think I can take my son to see Superman? I say absolutely. And so she texts me while she's watching it. I said, so they're just gonna get rid of Superman's optic nerve? I said, you gotta keep watching.
Yeah. And they showed a pretty cool like 3D model of the optic
it was
nerve
cool,
and
man.
the optic tract going into the brain. It was pretty cool. And apparently what I got from that is laser vision comes from the optic nerve apparently. So if they stop the optic nerve, they're going to stop the laser vision. Was apparently was going to happen. Or that's what they were hypothesizing. But he dropped so fast out of the sky, it doesn't kill her, but it almost kills the engineer because she's not really a metahuman. She's just able to. I mean, she is, but she doesn't have like super strength and all of this.
Right.
So she really wasn't able to take this impact. And when she's dying or getting close to death, all of the black material that had come from her seems to be dying off too, and Superman's able to pull it out of his mouth.
Right.
And then he's ready to go. And then the other metahuman stands up, and his mask is all split and ripped, and so he tears it off. And lo and behold, it's a clone of Superman, just with some longer,
an imperfect clone.
An imperfect clone of Superman, yeah. Imperfect clone of Superman, but that's why he's been so strong, and that's why he's been able to beat Superman. Because not only does he know every move that Superman's going to have, but he's just as strong as him. So, Superman really didn't have a chance, and that made so much more sense in the movie. I'm like, okay, that's who could beat Superman.
Right.
So yeah, but they keep fighting, and he still has the other guy still has the upper hand because he still has all of Superman's moves because there's these little cameras that are they're like drones kind of flying around, and Lex is giving them the moves. And who comes in but Crypto the dog comes in, and Superman looks at Crypto, and then he realizes that the cameras are what are giving this guy the advantage.
Now, at this point, like Superman whistles for Crypto, and then they cut scene, and it looks like Crypto's in like a pet shop or some kind of convenience store.
Something.
He's just eating up a whole bunch of dog food.
He's just chilling. Yeah. He's a puppy. He's like this out of control puppy with Superman. It's funny. And he's like, oh, what? Yeah, okay, I'm on my way. And he comes, and then and Superman just says, Crypto, get the toy. And so Crypto gets the toy, which is the drones, and destroys all the drones. And he's just playing. He doesn't even know what he's doing.
Right.
Destroys all the drones. So the other Superman, the clone, can't get instructions on how to beat Superman. And at this point, there's a pretty epic fight. This is where that other laser vision scene happens, where the clone lasers Superman in his eyes.
Right.
So I was like, well, that would be quite the solar retinopathy, I suppose, to a regular person. But Superman's okay. He looks like he's just got some erythema around the eyelids.
Yeah, it looked pretty bad too.
But he's all right. And then they keep fighting, and Superman ends up getting the upper hand. Throws the clone into the black hole that's torn open, and then with the help of he's able with the help of Lois Lane and Mr. Terrific to get to where Lex Luthor is, and basically get them to shut down the space-time continuum. There's like a switch that they have to hit. And another cool scene with Crypto is it looks like Lex is like trying to hurt Superman, so Crypto gets upset and just tears Lex up, just throws him all around the room.
Yeah. And
it's pretty bad. And then from that point, I mean, the movie is kind of winding down from there. It's a happy ending. Everyone's happy with Superman. What's really nice at the end is Superman goes back to his lair and he's getting taken care of by the robots. And they're like, would you like to see the video of your parents? And I thought he was going to say, no, I don't want to see that video. But he says, yes. But now the video is of his earthly parents, the ones that raised him. Right. It's all the fun moments that he had. He's like playing in a field and playing sports and doing all this. And it's really a happy, feel-good moment,
Yeah. But
we get in.
Just to back up just a little bit, as Superman is beating up the clone Superman and finishing them off, the Raptors from Lex at the Raptors, which is just an army of people to attack Superman.
Oh yeah.
And Jacob, I think this is probably the coolest scene in there, because this is the one they're all coming at it from all different angles.
Yeah,
Superman just opens up, and then he just goes laser vision, and he's just doing it in 360. It was such a cool scene, man.
It was great.
Yeah, that was such a cool scene, man. That's vintage Superman. Vintage Superman right there. That's the image you would see in the comic books That's the image
Or
you
cartoon.
see in all the old school cartoons and everything. It was just amazing, man.
Especially when they're all on him,
Right.
and then he does like a super spin,
Right.
and throws them all off in his laser. And like, yeah, I remember. I'd have to go look it up, but I feel like I remember that exact type of scene from the cartoon as a kid.
Yeah.
It was, yeah, you're right. That was cool. And those Raptors weren't much of anything. They were much of nothing. They were, they came in like, I was like, oh no, the Raptors, but he had no problem with them. It was just,
oh no.
okay. It was like a 30-second, he just demolished them. So, but yeah, and then, pretty cool. We get introduced to Supergirl at the end, and it turns out Supergirl is his cousin,
right,
and is Krypto's owner. And so at the beginning of the movie, Superman mentioned it was like a foster care type of thing. That's why he had Krypto. And it's because he's watching it for his cousin, who apparently she can't get drunk on planets with a yellow sun, so she goes to planets with a red sun. So
they say she's partying. Yeah, she's
yeah. So, but so we are going to get a Supergirl movie next summer, and
oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, it's called Supergirl: Woman of Tomorrow. And I'm pretty excited after seeing this movie, man. I'm pretty excited about that one. And what I've learned. Oh, go ahead.
No, I said we got to do that for sure. Yeah, absolutely, man. Yeah. Absolutely.
What I learned is so all of the movies we talked about where we didn't really enjoy DC. I have to say the 2022 Batman was okay. Also, the one with Robert Pattinson. I forgot to mention that.
Oh yes.
Okay. But those are under what we would call the DC EU, the DC Extended Universe. Mm-hmm. Now they've rebranded themselves to DC Studios. So now that James Gunn has taken over everything, he didn't just take over this movie; he's taken over DC. That's kind of really? He's been greenlit to do that. So they're calling it DC Studios. They're totally rebranding, and I thought this rebrand was perfect for Superman. It brought. The DC, the dark aspect to some of the superhero stuff was cool, especially in The Dark Knight, like you talked about. But this movie brought so much brightness and hope,
right,
and inspire you to be a better person, which I think has always been the point of someone like Superman. Superman's something we can't be. He has powers that we don't have, but it's something we can aspire to be.
Right.
And what I liked about it, we're kind of in a world today where I hate to call it my young men, but there's a lot of talk about what does it really mean to be a man, and are we tough and masculine and all of this. What I love about this movie, Superman, he cares about other people. He shows that it's cool to really give a shit what's happening in the world.
Right.
He shows it's cool to protect and provide and take care of those that are less fortunate than you. And he cries and he laughs and he's just. I thought it was great and showed us who we want to be as men and as people. That was good. That was my little soapbox moment for this episode. I walked away really inspired, wanting to be a better person.
No, it was from a superhero movie. For anyone who haven't seen it or may have some reservations about going to watch Superman just based off of past superhero movies or past renderings of it, man, I really encourage you to go watch this one, man. And
totally different.
I have to ask you, Jacob, out of 10 eyes, man, how many would you give this one?
This one was pretty great. You know what? And we hadn't started the eyeball thing yet when we did Sinners. So, I'd say I'd probably give Sinners a 9.7 if we went back and did that. That's how much I love Sinners. This movie is probably a 9. I really liked it. I was very happy with it. I laughed. I was inspired. I'm gonna go watch it again.
Yeah.
So I'd probably give it a 9.
No, I would agree with you on that. I think the reason I would give it a 9 mainly because I want to see what comes next with the DC Studios, right? So we are setting the bar kind of high. I think this was intentionally done to come out with Superman first, as you should. But let's see what happens next, man. I think there's a lot of room here, man. Especially if you have James Gunn directing and leading the way, and he's kind of a specialist in this realm. I think it's gonna work, man. But I really enjoyed this, and I agree with you. I'm definitely gonna watch this again when it comes to stream. Yeah, I may just go back to the movies and watch it again. But
I think I'm going to go back to the movies. Yeah,
this was pretty good because Ash had asked me what I thought about it. I said, man, this is really good. So I'm sure she's going to want to go watch it at some point, man. But
is this the best? Oh, good.
No, this was a fun movie, fun episode, man. Any closing thoughts?
I was going to ask you. Well, I have two questions for you. Yeah. Is this the best iteration of Superman we've ever seen? What do you think?
It's the best I've seen.
Okay.
But
yeah,
I
think so.
But with that being said, and that's not a slight at the great job that Christopher Reeves did when he had the role, or anyone else who came out. But that was a little bit before, and I'm older than you, but that was a little bit before my time. Dean Cain did okay with it when it came to TV.
That was
television.
A show, right?
Yeah. When it came to television, which was okay, but I'm more of a movie person. I'm not going to sit there long enough to get into series, so to speak. But I felt that this one was pretty good. It set the bar pretty high, and I really enjoyed it, man. Really enjoyed it.
I thought so too. And I love Henry Cavill, and I thought he did a good job in those movies. I just thought those movies weren't that great, to be honest. Yeah. But I think he's great, so no disrespect to him. My other one, since horror movies are what I always love, have you ever seen the horror Superman?
I don't think that I have. What?
It's called Brightburn.
I have seen that. I have seen that. Yes. It's been a while.
Not that great.
Yeah, I have seen that.
It's not that great, but it's kind of thought-provoking. Like, man, what if Superman came here and really did want to just be terrible and conquer us? Yeah. And it kind of
But then, at that point, he would be unmatched, right? I mean, he wouldn't who. We couldn't stop him if he wanted to. But that movie came out about 5 years ago. Yeah,
something like that. Yeah,
I did see that.
Yeah.
I
was excited for it, and then it was like just okay. But
yeah,
I forget.
Yeah, I do remember that because it was about him. It was like a little kid at some point, and then
yeah. He's the little kid the whole movie. It's basically like he's like 10, and when he decides to be evil. So.
That's wild, man. An evil metahuman. That's kind of wild, man. It's kind of wild.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, man. But as we close out this episode, man, join us. We'll be back soon with another movie to break down and optometry cases to discuss. Please join us. But let us know what you thought about Superman. We both enjoyed it. We give it a 9 eyeball ranking out of 10. What do you think? What do you think about it? Go see it and let us know what you thought. But we'll be back soon, and let us know what you think.
Thank you for joining us for another episode of the Realize Podcast. Be sure to give us a follow on Instagram and TikTok.
See you next week.